Hi, I'm Kelly Kramer.
And I'm Scott Sipker. Welcome to the riverfront here in Madison County.
And our autumn edition of Iowa Outdoors. Coming up on our autumn edition of Iowa Outdoors, we explore how an Iowa DNR project is rejuvenating a paddling adventure amongst the landmarks of Madison County. We investigate the peculiar habits of a less than picturesque bird, the turkey vulture. We climb the rock faces of Iowa, inside and out. And we go airborne for a photographic vista above the Mississippi River. We'll have all that and more.
So sit tight, Iowa Outdoors is about to begin.
Funding for Iowa Outdoors is provided by the Claude P. Small, Catherine Small Cousins, and William Carl Cousins Fund at the Lincoln Way Community Foundation in Clinton County to support nature programming on Iowa Public Television.
Mid-American Energy, helping to harness renewable sources of electricity through their investment in wind power. Information is available at midamericanenergy.com. Mid-American Energy, obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
Many of Iowa's natural wonders you'll find on IPTV can be found in Iowa Outdoors magazine, the Iowa DNR's premier resource for conservation, education, and recreation activities. Subscription information can be found online at iowadnr.gov.
We've come to South Central Iowa to showcase a water trail that intertwines with a series of historic landmarks. Coming up, we'll show you how the Middle River flows through Madison County and past its signature covered bridges, and how you can experience it.
This spot is the perfect location to host our fall-time edition of Iowa Outdoors with stories from across our colorful state, including a visit to a much larger body of water, the Mississippi River.
But first, we'll stay right here along the banks of the Middle River.
And what the Iowa DNR recently named as a new water trail, right below some of Iowa's best-known tourist destinations.
The mental image is going down I-80 or up I-35, and it's, cornfield beans, but you get off the beaten path into the water trails, and there's some fantastic opportunities in Iowa.
For more than 120 years, the bridges of Madison County have stood as a gateway to a different era, a touchstone to a period when farm to market roads were not only multiplying, but thriving. And for more than a century, visitors have flocked to the red-splashed wooden symbols of rural America. But rarely have they focused on what runs underneath. The reason the bridge exists in the first place, the winding Middle River of Madison County.
It's really nice to have these beautiful landmarks, these historic covered bridges right here over the river, because it does bring attention to the river. People come in to see the covered bridges. They don't realize there's a beautiful stream running right under Roseman Covered Bridge.
This is a water trail. It's an idyllic, melancholy little trail. Great scenery, great bluffs. You'd be surprised at the amount of wildlife you see on the water when you get on it, because it just, you approach wildlife in a different manner. They are not really accustomed to things on the river, and you're coming at them relatively quiet.
A network of supporters have teamed with the Iowa DNR Water Trail staff to cultivate this stream. Officials maintain its meandering path and promote this corner of Madison County as a paddling destination.
The Water Trails program has been absolutely huge. It's helped in so many ways. It's drawn people to rivers that they would have never have thought about paddling. People knowing that there are water trails now in the state, now they want to know how to paddle. They want to go out and buy kayaks. And they do a great job on this water trail by keeping their accesses clean and keeping log jams cut out. If they need help, they know that we're a partner, because every water trail is state designated, and that gives you certain resources to use, like money grants and things like that. So we just have a really good working relationship with them, as we do with other counties and other water trails across the state.
Iowa-centric paddlers have long flocked to the streams in our state's northeast corner, turning a blind eye to a scenic destination less than an hour from Des Moines.
The Middle River is just kind of the surprising little river close to Des Moines, through the timber and the rolling southern Iowa drift, plains, and Not many people know about it other than, the bridges are here.
Mike Kylan has reported on outdoor experiences across the state as a writer for the Des Moines Register, and he's found a hidden gem tucked underneath the nearby covered bridges.
That's the beauty of our state. We've got 70,000 plus miles of navigable streams. You can be anywhere and be on that trail and find a little slice of beauty. And all the wildlife it immediately goes to that because, let's face it, there's just a lot of row crops around it. So you're going to see, I see more here than sometimes when I go up to Boundary Waters or on Superior, or just because the wildlife is congregated here.
But navigation on this water trail is not on autopilot. After years of planning, the Iowa DNR Water Trails team hands over much of the maintenance of the trail to county conservation officials. The county is tasked with regular efforts such as tree removal and other blockages that can jam up the free flow of paddlers down the Middle River. The river itself mixes peaceful passages with limestone riverbanks, alongside narrow strainers and rockier passages that may require a brief portage. After spring rains or the occasional high water of mid-fall, the Middle River is the perfect place to spot wildlife and join your fellow paddlers for an adventure close to home.
Now there's so many people paddling that you can come down here and almost see somebody paddling every day, including every day of the week, which is great for the economy. It's great for Madison County. It's great for tourism. And it's wonderful for the river because it actually gets noticed.
On a fall afternoon, the paddle from Roseman Bridge to nearby Pamel State Park was nearly 4 hours of gently meandering Iowa stream with a modest group of paddlers. The next time you plan to take in the covered bridges of Madison County, equip yourself with a canoe or kayak and be ready to explore more of Iowa's outdoors. Fall migration often influences our avian-inspired, binocular-wielding friends to venture outside to catch a glimpse of a rare bird flying its way to greener pastures.
But a much more common raptor has been floating overhead almost all year long. They're not photogenic or majestic. In fact, they can be downright stinky creatures. But we may be taking their role in our wildlife ecosystem for granted. We examine a bird nobody likes, the turkey vulture. When warmer weather is on deck, communities across the Hawkeye State start getting into the swing of things. And for one West Des Moines ballpark, the change of season signals the return of a familiar, though unnerving, group of spectators who stick around from first pitch till first snow.
It is a little bit creepy. Yeah, they're pretty scary looking. You wonder what the heck they're looking for and what they see. Every year they're out here. So they're obviously hovered in this area for a reason.
Native to the Americas, turkey vultures glide across Iowa skies from early spring through late autumn before migrating to warmer climes. Naturalists and veterinarians warn against approaching these wild animals. But anyone can relax and observe their flight from afar.
Just the graceful way they soar in the sky, you can't help but become interested in learning a little bit more about these birds.
Park manager Tim Gedler of nearby Walnut Woods is an avid bird watcher. And while he enjoys listening to different calls and spotting various species, he says studying our feathered friends is also valuable research into the health of our environment.
If bird populations are declining, it's a good sign there's something wrong in nature.
Generally atop the food chain, booming turkey vulture populations have few worries. It's quite common to see a group circling for food and a place to hang out.
They like to nest in large groups. We've seen them on the cell phone towers right in this area. They're pretty opportunistic when it comes to their roosting.
If the prospect of buzzards looming over youth baseball games sends a chill up your spine, experts assure that turkey vultures aren't known to attack people. But the combination of man-made refuge and ample feed could be the reason they flock to Holiday Park. The birds employ thermals, or warm upward air currents, for flight. Flapping their wings sparingly allows them to save energy for a rigorous dining regimen. And because of dietary preference, they can afford the luxury of a leisurely hunt.
That's probably the most valuable thing for turkey vultures is they're kind of the recyclers of the dead animal kingdom.
These members of the raptor family actually feast on carrion, or the decaying flesh of dead creatures. And in river bottom areas, receding waters can leave behind a banquet of maggot-covered fish remains, or perhaps some other appetizing carcass. Though a rather stomach-turning notion, the sanitizing effect turkey vultures provide can help suppress the spread of dangerous bacteria and disease, particularly to livestock. Equipped with a red-hot digestive system that eradicates lethal pathogens, these scavengers are nature's perfect garbage men.
Without the turkey vultures, who knows what it would be like out there in nature with all these dead animals around with nothing to help speed up that decomposing process.
Pinpointing corpses from the sky requires sharp senses, and though their eyesight is keen, the bird's true gift resides in its beak. Most avians have weak sniffers, but the turkey vulture's brain packs an advanced olfactory center. The chemical scent released by rotting cadavers is picked up by elevated predators, who use it to zero in on putrefied prey. Iowa's motorists enable their share of the vile spectacle that follows. According to the Department of Transportation, over 75,000 animal-involved automobile accidents were reported statewide over the past 10 years. The overwhelming majority of roadkill is deer, which, for a winged cleanup crew, is an entree on a concrete platter. Chowing down in the middle of traffic can create quite a road hazard, and distracted, slow-moving gluttons can end up flattened themselves. For those birds fortunate enough to survive a run-in, solace can be found at advanced rehabilitation facilities, like the Wildlife Care Clinic at Iowa State University's Veterinary Medical Center. Staff is available 24/7 on campus, in the field, or over the phone to guide anyone through health concerns of family pets, farm animals, and wild game alike.
This one we got a call from somebody out in the country, and so they got a dog kennel actually and kind of shooed into the dog kennel and brought it into us.
Corralling the untamed wounded is challenging. Should such a situation unfold, doctors prescribe a call to Iowa State immediately, as things could get messy with this particular beast.
You have to really be careful of their talons. These guys, their biggest defense mechanism is they regurgitate the food, the dying carcasses that they have in their stomachs, and it's just a very foul odor.
Turkey vultures can live up to 30 years in captivity, nearly double their typical lifespan. But with a price tag of around $600 a month to house, clean, and feed mending birds, returning them to their natural habitat is usually the best option.
The bird was not fully extending the right wing. What we found was there was probably a fracture, but it had been chronic. This one will not be able to fly again ever. We have to meet very specific criteria to release birds. So it'll actually go onto a list, and so zoos and exhibitionists across the country can log into this and we can see if we can find a good home for it. If not, then we would have to euthanize the animal.
Wildlife authorities recognize the necessity of such measures. But they hope in the long run, negative perceptions about turkey vultures won't overshadow the benefits they provide, whether it's the pasteurizing effect such birds have, or the pleasure of watching them fly.
They may look eerie, they're kind of ugly, I'll admit, but there's a lot of beauty in a vulture too. And they're just a part of that whole bird world picture for a bird watcher when you're out. I try to never lose interest when I see a robin or as many turkey vultures as we see in the sky.
For some park visitors, a cliffside is an overlook, perhaps worth walking near the edge for a better perspective.
For others, it's a challenge. Not just another outdoor element to admire, but to conquer.
Iowa may not be a rock climbing destination, but it does feature opportunities for a variety of skill levels.
Do you see the chalk griffin right up there?
There you are.
You expect to see avid rock climbers in Colorado or Utah, but Iowa?
Keep going, you're doing good.
There's a very active climbing community in our state, and it's growing year by year. Iowa's rocks are even attracting climbers from other states in the upper Midwest.
We breed a lot of climbers in Iowa. You know, we're a close-knit community, and we work hard at being good at what we've got. You know, you can't always choose where you live, and you make the best with what you've got. And we've got a lot right here, so we're pretty lucky.
This is one of the most popular rock climbing destinations in Iowa, the steep limestone bluffs that line the river valley at Pictured Rocks, near Camp Courageous in Monticello in eastern Iowa.
When I climb, I don't have to worry about anything else. I come out here and, you know, your brain doesn't want to fall, whether you're on a top rope or not. So it focuses on what's absolutely happening right now. And that's you know, it's hard place to get. So that's what I like about it.
Ben Caskey and his wife Meredith have been climbing for almost 20 years. Their two kids, 10-year-old Olivia and 6-year-old Griffin, pretty much grew up climbing and have grown to love it just as much as their parents.
You know, it's been a part of all of our lives, and it's changed our lives, you know, in a million ways. And now, you know, our kids are going to do it, and they're going to show people how to do it.
Ben also teaches climbing to students at the University of Iowa. Students start on the indoor climbing wall and then transfer those skills outdoors at places like Pictured Rocks. Eric Knobloch, who learned to climb when he was a student at the University of Northern Iowa, is sharing his skills to students at Wartburg College.
Wartburg's got a climbing wall. It's been kind of underutilized for the first few years that we've been open, and so one of the things that I'm trying to do is really revitalize the climbing wall program and then offer opportunities to our students to get out and not just rock climb, but all different types of outdoor activities, you know, get some fresh air, and then that way when they get back to the college, they're recharged and ready to go. That's what it's all about, is doing something fun and getting out there and experiencing the outdoors.
I like how it's not like any other sport for me. It's just me and the rock pretty much, and I can take it as far as I want to.
Sometimes there's barely enough for a finger or two to grab hold, or the tip of a toe to fit into the side of the rock and push you up.
You know, we're not considered a world-class destination like the New River Gorge or Red River Gorge or something like that, but what we do have is quality. And, you know, within a small area, there's a lot to do.
One way beginners can learn is by starting indoors at a gym like Climb Iowa and Grimes. Some climbers only climb indoors, and for others, combining indoor and outdoor climbing is a way to stay active year-round.
I climb because of the challenge. It's overcoming obstacles, it's problem solving, it's my fear of heights. It helped with my fear of heights when I started climbing 16 years ago.
So Kelly, here's your harness. You want the orange loop in front. You're going to put it on like a pair of pants. One foot goes
With a
into
simple
each leg.
10-minute orientation, you're ready to climb. So I decided, why not give it a try?
Just go. Don't forget to use your legs. A lot of people, when they're first climbing, they just use their arm strength. So remember that your legs have muscles too, and you want to make sure you use those too.
Okay. All right, here we go.
And then just step up.
Aha!
Very nice. Ah, there it is.
Yikes.
Nice job.
Okay.
So what did you think?
That was so fun. I kept trying to use my legs more than my arms, but then there were times when the more spread out things got, the more I would reach and then realize I had to pull myself up. So, I mean, it's a really exciting challenge. It's a great workout.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
yep.
I'm gonna be feeling that later.
Climbing can be for anyone, from young kids to senior citizens. It's as challenging as you want to make it.
We're doing our best to start kids young, and we have a very successful climbing team of kids that start as young as 4 and 5 years old that will hopefully be lifelong climbers.
And so anybody can do it, it's just whether you want to or not. And then having the knowledge to set up a safe system is what is the important part. So having someone who can teach you, especially on an outdoor setting, like what is the safe way to do it to make sure that nobody gets hurt.
At Pictured Rocks, the rock is already safely bolted for climbers, thanks to cooperation between the Iowa Climbers Coalition and the Jones County Conservation Board. The Iowa Climbers Coalition helps maintain the routes and works to build relationships and advocate for increased access for climbers in other areas of the state.
We only have so many places to climb in our area, so we have to kind of make friends with the right people to be able to do that. And working on new places to climb, there's more good rock in Iowa. It's just not, it's private property, or it's, climbing's not allowed there. So just building a climbing community in a state that, that isn't necessarily known for climbing.
The picturesque surroundings, supportive community, and physical and mental challenges of climbing make it a great way to enjoy the Iowa outdoors. A trip to the northeastern rim of Iowa brings you to the karst topography and vivid beauty of the upper Mississippi River Valley.
From cliff sides to the water level itself, the Mississippi is unlike any other region in the Midwest. But for a unique perspective, go airborne.
That's where you'll find Bob Hurt, whose passion for the Mississippi is captured hundreds of feet above this watery wilderness.
I love it all. I mean, it's a matter of savoring, your time up there. Where here, the view changes constantly, and so that's what I love about it.
In North America, few rivers compare to the majesty and grandeur of the Mississippi River. From its bubbling brook of a stream in northern Minnesota to its confluence with the Gulf of Mexico, the mighty Mississippi dominates the landscape of America's midsection. And to capture just a piece of that enormity, an aspiring photographer rose above it all.
How's the breeze back there?
Equipped with a gyro-balancing accessory, Bob Hurt leans gently out the window of his rented airplane, searching for aspects of the river he's seen before, or hopes to capture for the first time.
There's some, I think, pelicans down flying right over the river there. They circle around. You can see them above the lock and dam.
From hundreds of feet above, this aquatic wilderness resembles a maze of backwater passages.
And that's what it's like in the backwater. It's a maze. As a matter of fact, one of my photos is called Mississippi Maze, I believe.
It's an incomprehensible perspective from the water's edge.
You start seeing things that you don't see at all from the ground, or for that matter, the river. Now here it's just the main channel, but when you go a little bit up channel or down, you get into all the backwaters. Well, as a matter of fact, there are backwaters beyond the islands right here. And when you're in a boat, you just see, as you can see right here, you can't really tell. You think that's the end of the river. But it's very intricate, all these channels and islands, and they're weaving in and out, and you can see that from the aerial photography. You just start seeing patterns.
Mark Twain once dubbed the Mississippi the most crooked river in the world, as it meanders for hundreds of miles across the upper Midwest and along the eastern rim of Iowa. The river's beauty drew Bob and his family from Colorado to the karst topography of southeast Minnesota, southwest Wisconsin, and northeast Iowa. But that was decades ago, during his first career as an architect.
1995, I was doing a project for the state of Minnesota on growth management, looking at alternatives to sprawl development. And so I started doing aerial photography, looking at growth patterns and how growth was spreading out into the farmland and the natural lands. How many pelicans do you think are in that photo? I said, I don't know, 100, 150.
After discovering a passion for photography later in life, Bob was commissioned by the Iowa Natural Heritage Foundation to document the Mississippi's journey past the Hawkeye State. He never looked back, snapping thousands of photos for dozens of clients in the ensuing years. He developed an expertise in aerial photography, specifically along this special river.
I'm just snapping away like crazy. I mean, because there's so much beauty on this river. I mean, it's amazing.
He often journeys high above on a specially designed open-air plane for maximum photographic freedom. Other adventures have him leaning out the cockpit of a single-engine Cessna. A spinning gyroscopic accessory helps steady his hands as his camera lens reaches out for various contours of the river or nearby bluffs.
Taking a lot of shots, going onto the computer and then looking at them and say, aha, you know, and you remember then that you had this spectacular shot. It might have been amongst a burst of 12, but all of a sudden this one really stands out.
After decades of designing structures as an architect, Bob found a second calling documenting the work of Mother Nature in its most powerful and phenomenal form. That wraps up this autumn edition of Iowa Outdoors. We've taken you from an aerial view above the Mississippi to the perspective from your canoe on the Middle River. And you can find even more online at iptv.org/Iowa Outdoors.
Stay tuned for next month when it's already time to explore our state's wintertime adventures, above and below the ice.
We'll leave you with some images of two very different rivers, both showcased right here on Iowa Outdoors.
Funding for Iowa Outdoors is provided by the Claude P. Small, Catherine Small Cousins, and William Carl Cousins Fund at the Lincoln Way Community Foundation in Clinton County to support nature programming on Iowa Public Television.
Mid-American Energy, helping to harness renewable sources of electricity through their investment in wind power. Information is available at midamericanenergy.com. Mid-American Energy, obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
Many of Iowa's natural wonders you'll find on IPTV can be found in Iowa Outdoors magazine, the Iowa DNR's premier resource for conservation, education, and recreation activities. Subscription information can be found online at iowadnr.gov.